Hey, it's a special day today on Music for Busy People.
I have no idea what he means.
That person with no idea is Dev.
Hi.
The person with the idea is Mike. This was my idea, yes. Hopefully it'll be something that we keep doing that people like.
And I'm actually somebody who likes surprises. So maybe you'll like it too? Or at least my response.
Yeah, I usually don't tell her what we're listening to if it's something new.
Nope.
So what we're doing today
That's trust.
is we're focusing on the year 1970.
I know nothing of that year. There's nothing I could possibly know.
But these are big, famous albums we're going to be listening to.
Okay.
We're not going to listen to the entire albums, of course.
Okay.
We're going to listen to selections from different albums from 1970, and we're going to rank them. They may not have been the biggest selling albums at the moment, but they turned out to be big selling albums. The point is, I want to pick albums that sort of stood the test of time still. They're still great. These are the 10 biggest albums, in my opinion, that were released in 1970.
You don't worry.
Biggest being most important, most long-lasting. You will know some of these songs. You'll certainly... It's not going to be like, who's that? You know, it's
maybe.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see which one of these songs you know. Now, I know most of these albums, and I know at least a few songs off of most of these albums. We're going to be listening to some of them. It's not really for my purposes, it's more for your purposes, because you're not going to be familiar with, what's on that album?
Sure.
So we'll listen to a selection. So, of course, in the comments, please give us your opinion.
What's yours?
Let's be all nice and respectful and not get all...
Right, this is
just a
nobody's going to win a prize.
Before we get into the listening, I'm going to mention some honorable mentions that didn't make the top 10. These albums are not on our list, but I just wanted to acknowledge them as also great albums that came out in that year. Sweet Baby James by James Taylor.
I would like to listen to some James Taylor.
Yeah.
At some point, let's put that on the list.
Morrison Hotel by The Doors. That one had Roadhouse Blues on it, if you know that song. Bitches Brew by Miles Davis.
Love that title.
Yeah. Maybe it belongs on this list, but I kind of didn't want to include jazz on this list. Paul McCartney's first solo album, McCartney.
Okay.
Actually, the Beatles had 3 solo albums all released in that year. I don't think Ringo released one that year, but George Harrison, Paul McCartney, and John Lennon all released a solo album that year, along with the Beatles' final album were released that year. So there was a lot coming out from those guys. The McCartney one and Plastic Ono Band by John Lennon. That's another one that those two didn't make the top 10. Woodstock. I remember my older siblings having this album. Basically, it's a bunch of live performances from Woodstock. There's a lot of big bands on there. Jesus Christ Superstar, another childhood favorite of mine. That, if you don't know, was the concept album done by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. It was one of their early musical works. That's got Ian Gillan from Deep Purple singing on that. So that's pretty cool. We'll probably listen to that one at some point. American Beauty by the Grateful Dead. That's got the song Truckin' on it, if you know that song. That's one of their big songs. This was the only album put out by Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Mainly it's got the song Layla on that, which is one of the most iconic classic rock songs of all time. So that's got to be... Yeah. People think of it as an Eric Clapton song because that band... That's the only album they ever put out, that group.
Oh, wow.
Tea for the Tillerman by Cat Stevens. That's got Wild World on it and Father and Son, if you know those songs.
Probably. I always think of those are very sad songs.
Yeah. Well, some of his songs are sad, yes.
Yeah.
So those are my 10 honorable mentions.
Okay.
Now we're going to go through the top 10 in the order they were released. Just sort of, that seemed to make sense. I didn't want to put them in any other particular order.
Dig it.
All right.
Okay.
The first one is Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. That came out January 26, 1970. You may say, like, well, that's not the kind of music we usually listen to and stuff, but that album was huge. This is probably the biggest selling album from the 70s.
Good. I get more exposure to them because when people mention their name, I'm like, I don't know what they sang.
So we're going to listen to a couple of little snippets so you know, just so you get a feel for it.
Are Simon and Garfunkel known as folk singers?
Yeah, pretty much, I guess. You know lots of their songs, even though you may not remember any of them. You're going to know, obviously, you know Bridge Over Troubled Water, I assume.
Once again, titles mean nothing.
Oh, here we go.
When you're weary.
Now that's a lovely voice.
Like a bridge over troubled water.
It's a very emotional song. I don't think I've heard that completely outside of church.
Okay, here's another song from this album. It's called Cecilia.
Okay.
Celia, you're breaking my heart.
Okay. All right.
Next album came out the next day after Bridge Over Troubled Water, January 27th, 1970. This is Moon Dance by Van Morrison. His biggest song is probably the title track to this album, Moon Dance, which you will probably recognize when you hear it.
Hope so.
Okay.
Well, it's a marvelous night for a moon dance with the stars up above in your eyes. You know the night's magic seems to
put that flute in there.
whisper and hey, I can hear her heartbeat from 1,000 miles. She gave me love, 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 crazy love.
That felt very soft rock to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's jazzy.
Oh, he's
He's a little more jazzy,
Okay.
folky.
Well, we're 2 for 2 on the folk.
Well, that was also popular music back then.
Sure.
Nowadays, obviously not. The next album came out March 11th, 1970. It's Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Mouthful.
Well, you know who Crosby, Stills, and Nash are?
Kind of.
Okay. Well, they had a lot of big songs that you would know.
Okay.
And
I believe
for
you.
some of their tenure, Neil Young was part of the band as well.
Boy, that's a lot of chefs in the kitchen.
Yes, but they're all great. This first song is called Teach Your Children.
Know this one for sure.
Teach your children well.
Okay, this
know
next
they
song is
love you.
called Helpless. Another big song. Now, this is primarily a Neil Young song, but
Okay.
Neil Young was also putting out solo albums during that time as well.
Helpless, helpless, helpless.
Boy, their harmonizing is.
Oh yeah, that's what they were known
Jeez.
for. One of the things they were really known for. See, they could rock it too. Okay, this next one came out on May 8th, 1970. Let It Be by the Beatles. Had to be
Okay.
on here. You should know these songs.
Right.
Just, we won't need to
I
listen to a lot of
wasn't
them.
born in a cave.
Nothing's gonna change my world.
It wasn't the last album they recorded.
when I find
Oh.
myself
Last one they
in
released.
times of trouble,
Oh,
Mother
wow.
Mary comes to
I know
me,
nothing.
No, you don't.
speaking words of wisdom.
You don't have to confirm it. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be.
Get back, get back, get back to where you once belonged.
When they released Let It Be, they had broken up already, or pretty much had broken up. George Martin, who produced all their other albums, didn't produce this album. It was produced by Phil Spector. It was supposed to
Okay,
be a raw
okay.
album. The whole concept was
Yeah.
like, we're not going to do that. And then he took it and added choir and orchestra and all sorts of stuff. This next one, we've actually listened to these songs, but we'll listen to them briefly again, a couple of them. Cosmos Factory by Creedence Clearwater Revival. This one came out July 8th, 1970. We actually on our Patreon already reacted
Ew, right.
to several songs off of this album.
Right. Mama likes her Creedence.
Thought it was a nightmare. Better run through the jungle. Better run through the jungle. Ooh, bet you wonder how I knew.
And I'm just about to lose my mind, honey, honey, yeah. I'm so southern.
If
Yeah,
you want to see our full reaction to those songs, check out our Patreon.
there they is.
I have to be careful about what I play you for this one because it's Black Sabbath's second album.
No,
It has to be on this list.
no.
It has to be on this list.
I don't want to hear it.
We're going to play a little bit of only songs that you've heard before, and only a little bit of them, just so to refresh her memory, just so she knows what songs we're talking about.
Just to give that some context, though, we are listening to Black Sabbath, and we're on record 2.
Right,
and I really like them, and I don't want to spoil anything about the future albums.
That's why I'm not going to play a song unless I'm sure you've heard it. Paranoid by Black Sabbath, which came out September 18th.
Okay. Well, that's a decent year to be alive. If you're listening to all this kind of music come out every couple months or so.
That's why we're doing this.
Jeez.
Because it's a good year.
Yeah, okay. This is going to be hard. All right. Stop it.
Okay, so this next one, Neil Young again. By this time, he's a solo artist. This one came out a day after Paranoid, September 19th, After the Gold Rush by Neil Young.
Sailing hardships through broken harbors.
Never heard of it, but what a beautiful song. Evidently, I need to listen to this album. Jeez.
You do.
That dude is such a poet.
When you were young and on your own, I was always thinking of games that I was playing.
This is a rocker, so he could rock it too. And you probably know this song. I'd be surprised if you don't know this song.
Maybe. I just like it. Hard. Very difficult. Y'all were drowning in good music. Drowning.
Can you imagine if this many good albums came out?
No! You'd have like the best year of your life.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this one's a little different. Came out a few days later. September 23rd, 1970. Abraxas by Santana. This is by far their biggest album. He is an amazing guitarist.
Yeah, I know this one.
Now, for me, Santana music, it's not about the singing. Like, I could care less if they ever sing. I just love the percussion and his guitar playing. His guitar sings when he does solos.
Mm-hmm.
We already listened to this one, of course. It's Led Zeppelin 3, came out October 5th, 1970. Just for the purposes of this video, we'll listen to some snippets of a couple of songs, but we've already, again, if you want to see our reaction to this entire album, of course, it's on our YouTube channel.
How can you rate these?
We're getting towards the end of the year. Last one. Here's the Beatles solo album that made this list. All Things Must Pass.
We have to do 2 Beatles albums?
This is not a Beatles album.
What?
This is George Harrison.
Oh, okay.
November 27th, 1970. All Things Must Pass. This was a triple album. He had so much material that he hadn't been able to record with the Beatles because he only got to do a couple of songs per album. I think Derek and the Dominoes may have been formed because of the jam session that they did for this album.
My sweet Lord, my Lord, I really want to see you, really want to be with you. What I feel, I can't say.
There's actually no way
It's just
to actually rate it.
You know, if you ask me this question a month from now, I might rate them differently. You never know.
Any kind of way. I do think that there's some promising stuff in there, which I'm gonna listen to the whole entire album because it's just like, oh.
My number 10 was Bridge Over Troubled Water. For me, it's just not my genre. Of course, I like Simon and Garfunkel, and there's some classic songs on there, but I just This is the album I'm least likely to listen to of these 10 albums.
Okay.
Go
Mine
ahead.
was Moondance.
Okay. My number 9 was Moondance.
Okay.
Okay. For pretty much the same reason as Bridge Over Troubled Water. It's lower on the list because just of its genre, not because of the quality of it.
Okay.
What's your number 9?
Mine is Bridge Over Troubled Water.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nothing against those albums. It's just not our
No,
thing.
that's the reason.
Okay.
There was some good stuff on there, and I would dive into it, but it's not something I'm just like, I can't wait to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
It might be amazing. It probably is, but I think I'd have to be in a folky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be like, I totally want to rock out.
Number 8 for me was All Things Must Pass.
Okay.
I would have maybe chosen one of the other Beatles solo albums over this one. Because it's a triple album, maybe if you took the best of it and made it into one album, I might put it higher, but...
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
Mine
your
is
number?
Santana.
Yeah, I would have figured... I thought that was going to be 10 for you.
Oh, no.
Because you said you didn't like Santana that much. That's why I was like, oh, that's going to be last.
I'm not saying I don't like him.
Okay.
It's just overplayed. Those songs are very much overplayed.
Guess what my number 7 is?
Santana?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I like Santana a lot. But I don't think any...
And it's a 7 for you.
But I'm kind of a greatest hits kind of Santana. I don't want to hear necessarily deep cuts of Santana.
My number 7, All Things Must Pass.
We are pretty
Yeah.
spot on here.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not
Give
really
your
a
reasoning.
surprise, though, right? In doses, that is awesome. It's what you're there for. You really, really want to hear it, but I don't know about 2.5 hours of it.
My next two, which is kind of hinting at what number 5 might be, kind of go together because I think they're similar and they're both awesome. It was hard to know which order to put these next two in. But anyway, I put After the Gold Rush by Neil Young.
Okay.
That's a great album. Whenever you hear an album a lot when you're little, it kind of...
It soaks in.
It soaks in, yeah. And there's so many classic songs on that album. Because of genre, maybe, I wouldn't put it at the top of the top. Go ahead.
Okay. My number 6 is Deja Vu.
Go ahead. Reasoning?
Why chuckles?
You'll see.
I'm not really sure what my reasoning is.
Okay.
Because I think everything that was played sounds so very iconic that the entirety of the album must be very, very special. I think that one appealed to a lot of people going through a lot of different things. So that it belongs up there. I'm
laughing because my number 5 is Deja Vu.
Okay.
So I was saying that I was hinting at that before because that was Neil Young is on Deja Vu as well.
Yeah.
Crosby, Stills, Nash Neil Young. So those two albums to me are very close. They're both awesome. They're both in the same musical genre, folk rock.
Yeah, it's totally different genres that we're playing with.
So you did After the Gold Rush next, I bet.
I did not.
Oh, okay. Oh, we finally deviated from our pattern of
did.
having the two flip. Good.
Yeah. So my number 5 is actually Creedence Clearwater.
Wow.
Which I'm so surprised too.
Okay.
I'm totally surprised. As much as Deja Vu appealed to a wider audience, I think Creedence appealed to a narrower sense of audience. It's more approachable.
Yeah. I think Creedence is one of those bands, like if you look at the time where they were producing the music, they were probably much bigger than they are now. I'm surprised we're so in line lockstep here.
We
Number
are
4
in love.
is
we do live together.
I know, but music is so subjective.
Share our life.
It's so personal. But for me, it's Cosmo's Factory's number 4. These are iconic songs, but they're sort of just like ingrained in your brain a little bit. I still love them when they come on and I rock out to them, but it's not the kind of thing you think of putting on necessarily.
Yeah.
What's your number 4? Neil Young yet?
Nope.
Okay,
it's
cool.
actually Black Sabbath.
Ooh, okay. She's been going on about Black Sabbath all week because we just listened to the first Black Sabbath album and she really enjoyed it. So
I work out to that now.
For me, number 3 is Let It Be. Now, any other Beatles album probably would have shot to number 1. That's not one of their best albums, Let It Be. Even though it's great, it's just not as good as especially of the albums they were putting out at that time. Like their last few albums, it definitely is the lowest of those.
Interesting.
So you thought I would put it higher. They are amazing. I will never not say that about the Beatles, but this is not their strongest album, so it didn't make the top. But again, it's 3rd. It's not like it's a bad position. Go ahead.
In my 3rd is the Neil Young After the Gold Rush.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about Neil Young or his lyrics, or his voice. I know it's very, some people love it and some people are just like, no, I can't,
Right.
I can't do
Yeah.
it. But
Used to it.
as far as a deep storyteller and hitting you with insight, like just backhanding you with it, I think that album screams that.
Yeah. Not just that one.
That leapfrogs over stuff that's more in the moment tangible. Not
This
many
might
left.
surprise you. It's not. This is Led Zeppelin 3.
Okay.
Does that surprise you
No.
that I didn't put it at number 1?
No.
Now, this is another example like with the Beatles. Any other Led Zeppelin album probably would have been number 1, like, immediately. To me, Led Zeppelin 3 and their last album are not their absolute best, although I love them and I think they're awesome. I mean, I got it as number 2, so it's not like disrespecting it or anything. Number 2.
I actually have Led Zeppelin, number 3.
Okay.
That's the second.
We are pretty close. The number 1s is where we're going to be different, but that's cool. Everybody knows immigrant songs. So that,
yes.
But...
And Since I've Been Loving You.
Yeah.
Because it's been done.
Yeah, but
so
the rest of
many
the
times.
album, if you're a casual fan or not a big fan, you may
That
not
makes sense.
know the rest of the album. I picked Paranoid by Black Sabbath. I think that is a masterpiece album. That is one of those albums. I'm not even familiar with all the songs on Paranoid, but I know at least 3 or 4 of them. Most people think that's their best album.
All right.
It's an awesome album. And I like Led Zeppelin way more than Black Sabbath. But you're taking Led Zeppelin 3 versus Paranoid. I got to give it to Paranoid. Go ahead.
My last one, of course, is the Beatles and Let It Be.
I am incredibly shocked by that.
Really?
Yeah. That is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
When I hear them, regardless of whose song it is on the album, the one thought that pops to my head is like they are plugged into the vein of genius.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not even a big fan. Like if a song of theirs comes on the radio, I'll be like, oh, that's a great song. But I don't even gravitate toward listening to it. I don't even do that.
But you can't deny their genius.
But I cannot
Yes, I get you.
deny the genius. So objectively, I have to put it with that.
Well, that was interesting, honey.
Fun.
I'm curious to see what people think. If you think something should have been on the top 10 that wasn't, or what you think your order for the top 10 is, have at it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, give some golden nuggets in there.
Before we go, just a quick thank you to the patrons of our channel. They are wonderful people.
Thank you, patrons.
I highly recommend that you join their community because it's so awesome. Not only that, you support the channel. Here's the link to our Patreon if you haven't been there yet. We have extra videos there for our patrons. It's a wonderful community.
Hop on over, binge a little.
Yes. If you'd like to leave us a tip, you can make a one-time donation using PayPal or the thanks button.
Especially if I got all your favorites right.
Not especially at that, because the odds of that are pretty slim. Would you please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet? Would you please? Subscribing incredibly helps the channel. So if you like us, subscribing would really help us out. Thanks. And as I was saying before, please comment, especially in this video, about what order you think things should be.
Would love to hear your top 10.
Yeah, that's part of the fun of this.
Would love it.
But we appreciate your comments. They're very fun and inspiring for us. If you want to share the videos or give it a thumbs up, those are helpful as well. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Well, appreciate you hanging out for this first attempt at this kind of video for us. I hope it was entertaining. I thought it was a lot of fun. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye, all.
Oh, friend only to the Undertaker.